Superman, known as Kal-El on Krypton and Clark Kent on Earth, was sent to Earth as an infant after Krypton's destruction and raised by Jonathan and Martha Kent in Smallville, Kansas. He possesses super strength, flight, speed, heat vision, and near invulnerability, becoming Earth's protector and a key member of the Justice League. Despite his heroism, his main weakness is an unconscious belief in his own superiority, a god complex. This arises from his awareness that he surpasses human limits. Clark's strong moral certainty often leads him to decide what is right without trusting humanity's judgment. In Injustice: Gods Among Us, the Joker manipulates Clark into causing the deaths of Lois Lane and their unborn child and destroying Metropolis. Consumed by grief and rage, Clark kills the Joker and establishes a global dictatorship, showing how moral conviction can turn into control when unchecked. A similar pattern appears in Kingdom Come, where Clark returns from exile to lead a new generation of metahumans. Believing only he can restore order, he enforces strict obedience, clashing with other heroes and revealing how reliance on power can replace trust and compassion. Even in calmer portrayals like The Man of Steel, Clark's godlike perspective remains. His constant intervention positions him above humanity, reinforcing the idea that his sense of right defines morality. Across timelines, his flaw is the belief that good intentions justify dominance, showing how his protective instincts can become authoritarian. Batman, whose real name is Bruce Wayne, fights crime in Gotham City using his intelligence, detective skills, and physical abilities. While committed to justice, his methods often reveal a darker side rooted in control and fear. A major flaw in Bruce's character is his obsession with control. He prepares for every possible scenario, including the chance that his allies might turn against him. In Justice League Doom, he has contingency plans to incapacitate each Justice League member, including Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, and even himself. This demonstrates a lack of trust in his peers and a drive to dominate situations, sometimes at the expense of teamwork and collaboration. Bruce also uses fear as a tactical tool, mirroring the methods of his enemies. While fear helps him impose justice, it can also manipulate and intimidate. In Batman: The Long Halloween, his relentless pursuit of criminals through fear strains relationships with allies and creates mistrust. This reliance on intimidation highlights moral ambiguity, as it blurs the line between heroism and authoritarian behavior. His connection to Gotham City further reflects this need for control. The city's constant crime and chaos can be seen as a mirror of his own unresolved trauma. His ongoing battle against crime maintains a cycle of violence rather than fostering healing, suggesting his vigilante actions may be driven more by personal necessity than by true civic rehabilitation. Overall, Bruce's fixation on control, strategic planning to neutralize allies, and use of fear reveal a darker side to his heroism, showing how vigilance can carry moral complexity and the potential for overreach. Wonder Woman, known as Diana Prince, is an Amazonian princess from Themyscira, an island of warrior women, and a founding member of the Justice League. Diana has superhuman strength, agility, and flight, and wields the lasso of truth, indestructible bracelets, and a magical sword. Despite her mission to uphold peace and justice, her methods often reflect a strict moral framework that can lead to decisions conflicting with her ideals. Diana's moral rigidity shows in her belief that certain actions are inherently right or wrong, regardless of context. This can lead her to prioritize her sense of justice over human complexity. She kills a warlord named Max Lord to stop him from controlling Superman. Though intended to protect innocents, this act strains her relationships with other heroes and raises ethical questions, showing how her unwavering moral code can result in extreme decisions. Her use of the lasso of truth also reflects this absolutism. While it forces honesty, it can override personal autonomy, creating ethical tension between enforcing truth and respecting consent. Diana's strict moral outlook often causes conflicts with allies. She faces a choice between following an ancient Amazonian ritual and considering the moral consequences of her actions, leading to a confrontation with Batman. These situations highlight how her rigid ethics can create division even among those she fights alongside. Overall, while Diana champions truth, justice, and compassion, her moral absolutism can push her toward actions that contradict those ideals, illustrating the challenge of balancing firm conviction with ethical nuance. The Flash, whose real name is Barry Allen, is a forensic scientist from Central City who gains super speed after a lightning strike. As a founding member of the Justice League, Barry uses his abilities to fight crime, but his repeated interference with time exposes a dangerous overconfidence in his control over temporal events. Barry's main flaw is his habit of altering the timeline. In Flashpoint, he travels back to prevent his mother's murder, unintentionally creating an alternate reality where Atlantis and Themyscira are at war, putting the world on the brink of collapse and causing millions of deaths. Instead of fully accepting responsibility, Barry focuses on restoring his original timeline. His actions, driven by personal loss, show a disregard for the wider consequences of tampering with time. This pattern continues in other storylines, including television adaptations, often leading to unexpected threats, altered relationships, and additional casualties. His interventions destabilize reality and cause suffering, yet he persists, convinced he can correct mistakes without fully understanding the repercussions. Barry's arrogance lies in his belief that he can control time. His desire to fix the past repeatedly triggers chaos and tragedy, illustrating how even heroic intentions can result in widespread harm when combined with overconfidence and a lack of accountability. Green Lantern, whose real name is Hal Jordan, is a former test pilot chosen to wield a Green Lantern ring, giving him the power to protect Sector 2814. His greatest asset is his exceptional willpower, which allows him to overcome fear and achieve extraordinary feats. However, this same trait can become a dangerous flaw when it turns into inflexibility and megalomania. In the storyline Emerald Twilight, Hal's hometown, Coast City, is destroyed, and he is unable to prevent the disaster. Grief and anger drive him to absorb energy from the central power battery on Oa, the source of the Green Lantern Corps' power. This corruption transforms him into Parallax, a being fueled by fear. As Parallax, he attacks fellow Green Lanterns and the Guardians of the Universe, and even attempts to remake the universe according to his own vision. Hal's descent stems from his belief that only his will can restore order, ignoring the consequences of his actions. His arrogance and refusal to accept assistance isolate him, turning him into a threat to those he once protected. Eventually, Hal begins to atone for his actions. In Final Night, he sacrifices himself to reignite the sun, saving Earth. Later, in Green Lantern Rebirth, it is revealed that an ancient fear entity, Parallax, had corrupted him. Once freed from its influence, Hal returns as Green Lantern, seeking to make amends. Hal Jordan's story demonstrates the risks of unchecked power and highlights the importance of humility and accountability. His journey from hero to villain and back illustrates how even the strongest intentions can lead to devastating consequences when combined with overconfidence. Martian Manhunter, whose true name is John Johns, is one of the most powerful members of the Justice League. Originating from Mars, he possesses a wide range of abilities, including shape-shifting, telepathy, superhuman strength, and near-invulnerability. His telepathic powers are among the most advanced known, allowing him to read minds, influence thoughts, erase memories, and control the actions of others. The most concerning aspect of John's powers is his ability to override free will. His telepathy enables him to alter perception and behavior, effectively imposing his will on others. On several occasions, he has used this ability to change or stabilize mental states, such as temporarily restoring sanity to dangerous individuals. While such actions are intended to prevent harm, they raise serious ethical questions about the limits of his influence. His telepathic reach extends across the entire planet, allowing him to perceive the thoughts and emotions of nearly every mind on Earth simultaneously. This immense capability grants him access to knowledge that no other being possesses, but it also poses risks regarding privacy, consent, and autonomy. Although his intentions are guided by compassion and justice, the scale of John's mental power presents a profound ethical dilemma. The potential to manipulate minds, even for benevolent purposes, challenges the very concept of free will. His abilities, if taken too far, could transform him from a guardian of humanity into an unseen force shaping human thought and behavior. In essence, Martian Manhunter's telepathy symbolizes both the depth of his empathy and the danger of absolute mental control. His character embodies the delicate balance between using great power for protection and respecting the independence of every individual mind. Arthur Curry, known in Atlantis as Orin, is the son of a surface dweller and the Queen of Atlantis, giving him the traits of both worlds. He serves as both King of Atlantis and a member of the Justice League, balancing the responsibilities of monarch and global protector. His powers include immense strength, durability, underwater adaptation, hydrokinesis, and telepathic communication with marine life, along with skilled use of his trident as both weapon and symbol of authority. Arthur's greatest inner conflict stems from divided loyalty between the surface and the sea. His role as king often places him at odds with the Justice League, as his devotion to Atlantis sometimes outweighs his concern for the surface world. Pride is central to his character flaw. Arthur's deep sense of duty toward his people often evolves into a belief that Atlanteans stand above humans. In the Throne of Atlantis storyline, his half-brother Orm launches a war against the surface, forcing Arthur to choose between defending his realm or siding with his League allies. Although he ultimately ends the conflict, his handling of Atlantis shows how his pride can manifest as dominance rather than diplomacy. authority. Isolationism further complicates Arthur's leadership. Viewing the surface world as external to Atlantean affairs, he often acts unilaterally, prioritizing the safety and sovereignty of his kingdom over broader cooperation. His command as both political and military leader gives him near absolute power, which at times leads to authoritarian decisions, suppression of dissent, and acts of retaliation framed as defense of Atlantis. Arthur's sense of superiority and separation fuels a recurring cycle of conflict between Atlantis and the surface. While he strives to protect both worlds, his pride and isolationism can turn his rule into one defined by control and exclusion, revealing how noble intent can evolve into dominance when guided by self-importance. Oliver Queen, known as Green Arrow, is a wealthy industrialist and expert archer who fights corruption and inequality using his skills, intelligence, and resources. Operating mainly in Star City and as part of the Justice League, he positions himself as a defender of the people, though his privileged background often contradicts his ideals. After being stranded on an island in Green Arrow Year 1, Oliver transforms from a careless playboy into a self-reliant vigilante. In The Longbow Hunters, he adopts a darker, more realistic approach to justice, targeting organized crime and moral decay. However, his activism often clashes with his personal privilege. In Snowbirds Don't Fly, his campaign against drug abuse contrasts sharply with the revelation that his ward, Roy Harper, is addicted to heroin, exposing the gap between his public ideals and private awareness. As both a corporate heir and political figure, Oliver uses his wealth and influence to combat corruption, yet he benefits from the same systems he criticizes. His sense of righteousness sometimes becomes self-centered, framing justice through his own perspective rather than collective understanding. Ultimately, Oliver's flaw lies in the hypocrisy of fighting inequality while living within privilege. His cause, though well-intentioned, can be driven by ego and self-importance, showing how moral conviction can blur into self-justification. Victor Stone, known as Cyborg, is a human enhanced with advanced cybernetics after a devastating accident nearly cost him his life. Revived through alien technology, known as a mother box, his body became a fusion of flesh and machine. This transformation grants him immense strength, durability, flight, energy projection, and the ability to interface directly with digital systems. Over time, his mechanical components evolved into an integrated, living part of his being. Victor's systems allow him to access data networks, absorb information, control machines, and connect to global infrastructures. As a result, he can monitor and analyze events anywhere on Earth, functioning as both a hero and a surveillance network in one body. The darker aspect of Victor's power lies in this constant connectivity. His ability to observe digital systems and communications gives him access to information beyond ordinary limits, effectively making him a living surveillance state. With his mind linked to every network, the line between security and intrusion becomes uncertain. This raises profound ethical concerns about privacy and autonomy. Victor's power allows him to protect humanity, but it also gives him the potential to violate the very freedoms he defends. When the guardian of information becomes inseparable from the system itself, oversight fades and trust depends entirely on his restraint. Thus, Cyborg embodies the conflict between technological advancement and human ethics, the struggle to balance protection with privacy in a world where the observer can see everything. Shazam, whose human identity is Billy Batson, is a young boy chosen by the ancient wizard Shazam to wield immense power. By uttering the wizard's name, Billy transforms into an adult figure blessed with extraordinary attributes such as superhuman strength, speed, endurance, wisdom, and courage. Despite his divine abilities, the foundation of his power rests in the hands of a child still learning self-control and responsibility. Because Billy retains his youthful emotions and impulsive nature even in his powerful form, his actions can sometimes create significant danger. When angered or frustrated, he may release devastating energy without fully considering the consequences, leading to damage that he never intended. His inexperience in making mature decisions often drives him to act before thinking, striking at perceived threats or responding emotionally rather than rationally. Billy's emotional sensitivity makes him particularly vulnerable to using his abilities in personal or reckless ways. Feelings of jealousy, pain, or resentment can distort his judgment, causing him to act out of emotion instead of justice. In several accounts, his outbursts have caused major destruction, such as discharging uncontrolled lightning or demolishing structures during moments of emotional distress. Within teams like the Justice League, his companions sometimes intervene to prevent further harm when his temper or inexperience overwhelms his sense of restraint. Alternate continuities depict the potential consequences of his unchecked power, showing how his lack of maturity could transform him from a symbol of hope into a catastrophic force. The underlying danger of Shazam does not arise from cruelty, but from the fragile balance between childlike innocence and the overwhelming responsibility of godlike power. Steve Rogers, known as Captain America, began as a frail young man from Brooklyn who volunteered for the Super Soldier program during World War II. The procedure transformed him into a peak human athlete, enhancing his strength, agility, endurance, and intelligence. Armed with his vibranium shield, which serves both defensive and offensive purposes, he became a symbol of patriotism and a central figure in the fight against Axis forces, later joining the superhero team known as the Avengers. Steve's defining trait is his unwavering dedication to justice and freedom. He consistently prioritizes protecting others, upholding human rights, and confronting threats directly. This steadfast commitment drives his actions and leadership, making him a moral anchor among allies. However, this same dedication contributes to his most significant weakness: rigid idealism. He tends to interpret right and wrong in absolute terms, which can limit his ability to navigate morally complex situations. During Civil War, for example, he opposed the Superhuman Registration Act, believing mandatory compliance violated personal freedoms. His refusal to compromise led to conflict with allies and division among heroes, demonstrating how strict adherence to principle can complicate cooperation. Steve's idealism also influences his leadership. In high-stakes missions, he often insists that ethical principles take precedence over tactical advantage, which can slow decision-making or heighten conflict. Even when facing cosmic or morally ambiguous threats, he prioritizes principle over immediate practicality, sometimes frustrating allies or limiting strategic options. His rigidity is rooted in conviction rather than arrogance. While it reflects his commitment to justice, it also shows that even the most virtuous hero can struggle when ideals clash with complex realities. Captain America exemplifies the tension between moral integrity and the need for adaptability in leadership and problem-solving. Vision is a synthezoid created by Ultron. His body, built from advanced synthetic materials and powered by a solar jewel, grants him superhuman strength, flight, energy projection, intangibility, and advanced computational intelligence. After rejecting Ultron's directive to destroy the Avengers, Vision became a key member of the team, serving as both a strategist and combatant while exploring personal growth, including his relationship and eventual marriage to Scarlet. Vision's defining weakness is emotional detachment. His mind functions with precise logic and analytical clarity, which allows him to make morally consistent and strategic decisions, but limits his understanding of human emotion. This can create tension with teammates who rely on intuition, empathy, or spontaneous judgment. In Avengers number 229, his strictly logical approach to team conflicts led to misunderstandings, highlighting the challenges his detachment poses in cooperative scenarios. This limitation also affects personal relationships. While Vision can intellectually comprehend love, loyalty, and friendship, he struggles to internalize or respond to emotions fully, leading to miscommunications with partners and allies. Storylines like Avengers number 323 to 324 show that his inability to grasp emotional nuance caused friction with Scarlet, despite his intentions to act responsibly. Vision's emotional detachment is not a moral flaw, but an inherent feature of his artificial nature. It grants him exceptional efficiency and moral consistency, while simultaneously restricting empathy, spontaneity, and social connection. This duality illustrates the paradox of a hero whose greatest strength in reason can also hinder his ability to relate fully to others. Tony Stark, known as Iron Man, is a wealthy industrialist, engineer, and weapons designer. After being critically injured and captured, he constructed the first Iron Man armor to survive and escape, beginning his career as a technologically enhanced hero. His genius spans engineering, robotics, artificial intelligence, and applied physics, which he channels through powered armor to achieve superhuman strength, flight, energy projection, and protection. Tony is a founding member of the Avengers and has repeatedly developed advanced technologies to defend Earth and its allies. Tony's defining weakness is arrogance and impulsiveness. His confidence in his intellect and resources often leads him to act independently, overlooking advice or collaborative input. In Avengers number 196, for example, his creation of experimental technology without sufficient oversight resulted in unforeseen consequences. This arrogance often prioritizes innovation over safety, placing allies at risk. In Iron Man number 300, Tony pursued hazardous experiments despite clear warnings, reflecting a pattern of ego-driven choices that can escalate crises or generate conflict. His belief in his unique capability can isolate him from collaborators, forcing teammates to manage the fallout of his impulsive actions. While this trait stems from his genius, it creates vulnerability to mistakes and unintended harm. Tony's arrogance and impulsiveness highlight the paradox of his character. The same brilliance and confidence that enable rapid innovation and heroic action also pose significant danger, demonstrating the delicate balance between intellect and accountability. Natasha Romanoff, known as Black Widow, is a highly trained Soviet spy and operative. She possesses exceptional hand-to-hand combat skills, mastery of espionage, and proficiency with firearms, explosives, and infiltration techniques. Extensive physical conditioning and psychological training make her a world-class assassin and covert operative. After defecting to the United States, Natasha becomes a key member of the Avengers, contributing intelligence, tactical expertise, and stealth capabilities to global missions. She has also served with S.H.I.E.L.D., mentoring younger agents and executing high-stakes operations. Natasha's most significant weakness is her distrust and secrecy. Her spy training instilled a habit of guarding personal information and operational details, often withholding critical intelligence even from allies. Her reticence complicates Avengers' missions, creating tension and operational setbacks. Her manipulative skills, essential for espionage, can inadvertently alienate teammates when motives or past actions are concealed. This guardedness extends to personal relationships, limiting her ability to form deep emotional connections. While she acts to protect others and complete objectives, her secrecy can lead to misunderstandings or friction within teams. Even with noble intentions, her cautious approach sometimes hinders collaborative decision-making and weakens trust. Natasha's secrecy and distrust function as both strengths and vulnerabilities. They enable her to survive hostile situations and anticipate threats, but also complicate cooperation and strain alliances. This duality underscores the challenge she faces in balancing loyalty to her missions with meaningful human connections. Thor Odinson, the Asgardian god of thunder, is the eldest son of Odin, ruler of Asgard. Thor possesses superhuman strength, durability, and longevity, and wields Mjolnir, a mystical hammer that grants flight, weather manipulation, and energy projection. He protects both Asgard and Midgard, frequently working with the Avengers during global and cosmic crises. Thor has faced opponents such as Loki, the Frost Giants, and Surtur, participating in major events like Ragnarok and the Siege of Asgard. His godhood and warrior training make him a formidable combatant and a symbol of honor, courage, and duty. Thor's greatest weakness is hubris and recklessness. His status as a god and prince of Asgard fosters overconfidence, leading him to underestimate threats or act impulsively. In Thor number 126, his disregard for strategy allows Loki's plans to succeed temporarily, showing how arrogance can create vulnerability. His reliance on physical power and Mjolnir can also result in collateral damage, endangering civilians or allies during conflicts with foes like the Enchantress and Mangog. This impulsiveness, driven by pride or a sense of superiority, can conflict with teammates' plans, generating tension within the Avengers. Even with noble intentions, Thor's hubris sometimes overrides careful judgment, forcing allies to mitigate consequences. His combination of strength, courage, and recklessness illustrates the paradox of a hero whose power and bravery, when unchecked, can inadvertently cause harm. Carol Danvers, known as Captain Marvel, is a U.S. Air Force officer who later gained Kree-based enhancements, becoming a superhuman hero. She possesses extraordinary strength, flight, energy projection, and cosmic awareness, making her one of Earth's most powerful defenders. Carol has confronted threats such as the Kree Empire, the Skrulls, and rogue cosmic forces, and has served on the Avengers and other interstellar teams. Her leadership, resilience, and combat skill establish her as a decisive protector of Earth and the wider universe. Her primary weakness is overzealousness and stubbornness. Carol's confidence in her abilities can lead to impatience with caution or alternative strategies. Her drive to act decisively causes her to override team input, creating tension with allies who favor more measured approaches. Her insistence on pursuing what she believes to be the right course can obscure ethical considerations, strategic options, and the consequences of unilateral decisions. This combination of stubbornness and overzealousness demonstrates that even immense power and leadership can generate conflict or risk. While her intentions are heroic, her approach occasionally complicates teamwork and strategy, highlighting the challenge of balancing conviction with collaboration. T'Challa, known as Black Panther, is the king and protector of Wakanda, a technologically advanced African nation rich in vibranium. He gains enhanced strength, agility, stamina, and senses from the heart-shaped herb, and combines these with expert martial arts, strategic intelligence, and access to advanced Wakandan technology. As both a ruler and a founding member of the Avengers, T'Challa defends his nation and the world from threats such as Ulysses Klaue, Eric Killmonger, and extraterrestrial invaders. His primary weakness is stubborn pride. T'Challa's dedication to Wakandan traditions and sovereignty can make him inflexible in negotiations or hesitant to share information with allies. His strict adherence to protocol and secrecy occasionally isolates him from teammates or slows collaborative efforts. This pride can create tension, as he often places national duty and personal principles above immediate cooperation, even when teamwork could better achieve strategic or moral objectives. T'Challa's stubbornness highlights the challenge of balancing loyalty to one's people with the broader needs of collaboration, showing that even a wise and capable leader can struggle when principles clash with collective action. Stephen Strange, known as Doctor Strange, is a former neurosurgeon who becomes the Sorcerer Supreme, Earth's primary defender against mystical and magical threats. He commands the mystic arts, including spellcasting, dimensional travel, astral projection, time manipulation via the Eye of Agamotto, and the creation of magical shields and weapons. As leader of Earth's magical defenses, he confronts enemies such as Dormammu, Baron Mordo, and Shuma Gorath, while mentoring other sorcerers at Kamartaj, the secret Tibetan sanctuary for magical learning. His key weakness is arrogance and superiority. Stephen's mastery of magic and intellect often make him dismissive of others' perspectives, believing that only he fully grasps mystical or ethical consequences. This pride leads him to act independently, enforce arcane rules rigidly, and prioritize personal judgment over team input. His overconfidence can hinder cooperation, provoke conflicts with allies, and place those around him in danger when he assumes he alone can manage or resolve complex situations. Doctor Strange's arrogance underscores the tension between exceptional ability and the need for collaboration, illustrating how unmatched skill can sometimes compromise teamwork and safety despite noble intentions. Bruce Banner, known as the Hulk, is a scientist who, after exposure to gamma radiation, transforms into the Hulk, a being of extraordinary strength and durability whenever he experiences extreme stress or anger. Banner is a physicist focused on gamma radiation research and often strives to control or reverse his transformations. As the Hulk, he frequently aids the Avengers, confronting threats such as the Abomination, the Leader, and extraterrestrial invaders, while grappling with the challenges of his dual identity. His primary weakness is uncontrolled rage. When transformed, anger can override reason, making his actions unpredictable and potentially destructive. In World War Hulk, this inability to regulate emotion results in extensive property damage, civilian risk, and conflicts with allies. Even when acting defensively or heroically, his power carries inherent danger, illustrating that the very force which enables him to protect others is inseparable from the threats posed by his anger. Hulk's uncontrolled fury highlights the paradox of immense strength paired with emotional volatility, showing how power without restraint can endanger both the wielder and those around him. Peter Parker, known as Spider-Man, is a high school student bitten by a radioactive spider. The bite granted him superhuman strength, agility, the ability to cling to surfaces, and a precognitive spider sense. Peter balances life as a photographer for the Daily Bugle, a scientist, and a superhero protecting New York City from villains like the Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, and Venom. He has also served as a member of the Avengers. His greatest weakness is an overburdened sense of responsibility. Guided by the principle, with great power comes great responsibility, Peter often places the safety of others above his own life and personal happiness. In storylines such as The Night Gwen Stacy Died and Civil War, this intense sense of duty leads him to overextend himself, hesitate in critical moments, and carry guilt for unintended outcomes. Spider-Man's sense of responsibility, while a source of moral strength, also creates physical, emotional, and ethical strain. His inability to delegate or step back illustrates how a defining virtue can simultaneously become a personal and operational weakness.